history. While building a solar power plant in Almendralejo, Spain, something incredible surfaced. Not bedrock, but 3 massive concentric walls emerging from the earth. Soon, they counted 25 bastions, deep ditches, and defensive structures towering up to 5 meters high. This was completely unheard of for the Copper Age, around 3000 BCE. Archaeologists rushed to the site, realizing this wasn't just a settlement. It was a fortress, a mega-fortress, sprawling across an area larger than 4 football fields. They named it La Orden. The scale was staggering. The outer wall alone was 6 meters thick. To build something like this required a massive coordinated labor force, advanced engineering knowledge, and a society that was highly organized. This discovery single-handedly challenged our entire understanding of prehistoric Europe. We used to think of Copper Age societies as small, scattered farming villages, but La Orden proved they were capable of large-scale construction, sophisticated military strategy, and complex social organization. This wasn't a village, it was a prehistoric city built for war. As the excavation continued, the story got even more dramatic. The team unearthed a treasure trove of artifacts, ritual idols suggesting a rich spiritual life, thousands of flint arrowheads, and the telltale green glint of copper slag, proving they had mastered metallurgy. Grinding stones for grain showed that this was a bustling community, with hundreds, maybe even thousands, of people living within its walls. They were farmers, craftsmen, and warriors. For over 400 years, this fortress thrived. It was a regional powerhouse, a beacon of civilization in a world we barely understand. But then they found the burn layer, a thick, dark scar running through the earth, filled with charcoal, ash, and scorched stone. It was a sign of catastrophic destruction. The walls were toppled, buildings were razed, and the entire settlement was wiped out in a fire so intense it vitrified the clay. This wasn't a natural disaster. This was a siege, a brutal final attack that ended a 400-year legacy in a single, fiery event. Who could have done this? What kind of enemy could bring down a fortress of this magnitude? The mystery only deepened. Centuries after La Orden fell, long after its memory had faded into the soil, the Romans arrived. And they did something very strange. Directly atop the scorched ruins of the main gate, they buried one of their own, a single, isolated burial. There were no other Roman structures nearby, no settlement. Just this one grave, placed with deliberate precision over the epicenter of the fortress's destruction. Why? Was it a tribute? A warning? Did the Romans know the story of what happened here? It's a question that haunts archaeologists. Perhaps they recognized the strategic importance of the location, or maybe, just maybe, they found the ruins and felt a sense of connection to the warriors who fell there long before them. The story of La Orden doesn't end in Spain. Using advanced technology like LiDAR, which can see through vegetation and topsoil, researchers are now discovering a network of similar, hidden fortresses across the Iberian Peninsula and beyond. From the Zambujal fortress in Portugal to other sites scattered across Europe, a picture is emerging of a forgotten age of conflict. These weren't isolated strongholds. They were part of a vast system of defense, a prehistoric arms race. So, who were the attackers? One leading theory points to internal conflict. As societies grew larger and more complex, competition for resources like fertile land, water, and metal ores would have intensified. Perhaps La Orden fell victim to a rival chiefdom, a neighboring megasite vying for dominance. This was a world of shifting alliances and brutal warfare, where your neighbor could be your greatest threat. Another theory suggests a wave of newcomers. The Copper Age was a time of great migration. People were moving across the continent, driven by climate change, population pressure, or the simple desire for new opportunities. The arrival of a new group with different customs and technologies could have sparked a violent clash, leading to the conquest and destruction of established centers like Laorden. Imagine a coalition of tribes uniting to take down the regional superpower. The sheer number of arrowheads found suggests a massive battle, a final, desperate stand against overwhelming odds. What we are learning is that the dawn of urbanization in Europe wasn't a peaceful process. It was forged in fire and conflict. The very act of building these massive walls tells us they had something to fear. The rise of cities and the accumulation of wealth in one place made them a target. This fortress wasn't just a home. It was a statement of power, and that power invited a challenge. The collapse of Laorden marks a turning point, a violent end to one of the first great urban experiments in European history. The discovery forces us to rethink our own foundations. We look at modern cities and see progress, but the ruins of Laorden remind us that civilizations are fragile. They can rise, dominate for centuries, and then vanish, their stories buried beneath our feet, waiting for a construction crew to accidentally stumble upon them. Each new discovery is a piece of a puzzle we're only just beginning to assemble. We're not just digging up stones, we're recovering a lost chapter of the human story, a testament to the ambition, ingenuity, and violence that has shaped us from our earliest days. What else is out there, hidden just beneath the surface? What other great fortresses and lost cities are waiting to be found? The story of Laorden is a powerful reminder that our past is not as simple as we thought, and that there are still profound mysteries waiting to be solved. If entire civilizations can vanish like this, what else are we missing from our shared human story?